welcome to the SLT Podcast. This is me, Ziggy Moore, and as you can see, I'm all alone today. I don't have a co-host. This is Ziggy Moore. I'm out here doing it all on my own. I feel very lonely and fragile. So yes, but luckily, I am with a friend.
Yes.
I am with a friend, former colleague.
Yes.
Yeah. You know this lady's face. You know her face. She for the last, I'd say, year or so, she has been, I don't know where she finds the time. She has been going at it. She is a respected educator, a transformational English teacher. And I can say that because I've been in her lessons. Yeah. She reminded me of a time when she taught my younger brother, and he was being a bit challenging, and I came in and I sat next to him. So I've witnessed, so I'm not just talking based on internet stuff and internet friends, yeah? Transformational English teacher, assistant head, and a very vocal anti-racist advocate. We have I know you was Miss Mbakwe, but it's Joy Mbakwe, yes.
Thank you
Welcome.
so much for that wonderful introduction. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say no. It's been very interesting, and it has been. I was gonna use the word joy, but it has been. But it has been a joy to watch your transformation, like from. I don't want to talk about your story. Yeah.
No, you feel free.
No, I don't.
We're friends here.
I don't, because you've got to remember, I got a signal when you made the application to Lillian Bayliss. So yes, so that's the school in which we know each other from. Yes. I got a signal because I think the school you were coming from, a former colleague and friend of mine, yes, was like, what's happening at the school? Is it okay? I'm sending over our most prized asset. Can you go away and get the information and make sure she will be looked after? And I was like, what? Like, who's this? Because you need to. I'm like, firstly, I'm not at that school anymore. Secondly, that's not my job. But I think I was kind of told to signal to the powers that be that their most prized kind of like golden child was coming to apply to the school. So yeah, you may not know this, but I've kind of watched your trajectory from early doors. So yes, all right. Who is Joy Mbakwe? Talk to us.
I would say first and foremost a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, a leader. And then I'd put the other things: a daughter, a friend, a mother, a wife, all of those other things. I put them. But I think before I'm anything, I would say I'm a teacher. And that's really crystallized for me in the past year and a half, where I've been on maternity leave, I've been unwell, I've been off sick, like all of these things. And what has persisted out of everything is my desire to teach.
Okay, all right. Yeah, it's powerful. So talk to us about like your early years. So when a lot of the work you do online is around anti-racism and like, for want of a better for like calling things out, uncomfortable things as well. Like, I'll be honest, there's certain things you talk about I'm not brave enough to talk about. I can't deal with the smoke.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't. My ego is too fragile. Yeah, and I respect you for it. I don't have what it takes. Somebody who has a online presence, mainly centered around the business. I don't have what it takes. So, kind of, when did you first begin to kind of identify, especially within education, like injustice around kind of anti-racism? When did you kind of first start to see those things?
I think the first time that I recognized that things weren't quite equal was when I was in year 4.
Oh, wow.
So it was in my own personal experience of education, being educated, where two teachers laughed at me about something. And I can tell the story in greater depth, but their response to a child was to laugh.
She'd been like 8, 9.
I was young. Yeah. And I remember feeling such shame. And there was something in that moment, I realized, oh, there's something about me that makes me slightly unlikable to my teachers, but I didn't know that it was the color of my skin just yet. It was the following year when I was sat at the back of the classroom for the whole year, and my teacher didn't mark my book, and they didn't care about me. And every time I would speak, she would respond in a certain way. Oh, there's definitely...
What happened? Why were they laughing? Tell us the story.
This is a different teacher, by the way. That was, yeah. So
Okay.
these are different teachers.
Wow.
So these are different. So this is 2 male teachers laughed in year 4.
Male?
Yeah.
Primary school?
Primary school. And then in year 5, I was sat in a different teacher's room. So it's like, it's not to do with gender, right? I'm the common denominator at this point.
Yeah.
Right? And my parents have to come in. It's year 6 come in and they say, they don't tell me this at the time, but they're like, whatever you think you're about to do to this child, you're not about to do. You're going to move her classes. You're going to do this. You're going to do this. Otherwise, we are going to sue this school.
Hey.
I didn't know that at the time. But around that time where I have another teacher who is actually Indian, my other teachers had been white, and the way that she treated me and saw me, she was incredibly harsh on me, but had high expectations of me, that I came to realize, oh, there's something about me, the color of my skin, that means that teachers will respond to me in a certain way. And I think that's the moment.
Wow, I'll tell you why that's interesting, because something very similar happened to me. I remember my mum had to come down in year 4, and she had a conversation with my year 4 teacher. Her name was Miss Smith, by the way. Miss Smith. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. And I remember standing outside, but the only snippet, like, you know, your ears to the door, like, and I remember my mum saying, if I'm struggling to converse with you and speak to you, and you speak to me in a respectful way, I can see why you're having issues with my son. Because she was quite demeaning. Like, she tried to speak to my mum in a certain way.
Sure.
And my mum was a professional. Like, she wasn't. Yeah, she was coming after work professionally, and she felt it was perfectly acceptable to speak to my mum in a certain way. And I was removed from the school by year. That was it. That was the last year that I was in school. So it's interesting that experience happened in year 4, and I wonder if it's because around that age you become cognizant of certain things. Because I realised I was being treated. I didn't have the word discriminate. I didn't have the vocabulary.
You don't have the language, but you have the feeling.
Yes.
And I think so many teachers they underestimate the intrinsic understanding that children carry of injustice. They know when you're treating them unfairly. And you trying to look to the behavior chart or behavior system to be able to justify whatever ism is being enacted at the moment doesn't negate their feeling.
And I think, even though we knew this was going to happen, we're going to divert from the question.
No. Take us back. I want to be a good student.
But you already proved that. but I think, again, this is a reason why kind of we do the work that we do, and it's so important to kind of highlight educators, especially educators in senior leadership roles, to have black educators in senior leadership roles to challenge things like this, because I've been in many meetings where I've challenged and been allowed to challenge things like this, where you're looking at, why is this child being excluded? Sure. Why has it happened? Why is this child in detention? To really drill down on the reasons behind. And I love the fact that I'm going to big up my head teacher. She kind of forces us, like the school knows, if you're going to do something, you know we're going to drill down on it. And you have to not just be able to justify it from the behavior perspective, but really take into account, okay, so where were you in this? How did you manage this as an educational professional? And it's important to have black educators and advocates as well, and allies in the room who do that.
And that's what I was going to challenge. Sorry to interrupt you there, but this idea that just because you're a black educator that
you
have
100%.
that allyship and that advocacy hat on. Actually, I've heard some of the most damaging things from white people, but also black people. Also, like, he doesn't care about anything. He's just a waste of stuff.
Yes.
Oh. But this boy looks like he could be your cousin, your brother?
Yeah.
No? Okay, no problem. Because we cannot underestimate what we have also internalized about what black children can achieve.
Agreed.
And so the idea that because you're black, you're therefore an advocate is erroneous.
Yes.
Or just because you're black and in the room, you're going to make a change. Sometimes you're trying to protect your own space because we know actually you open your mouth and sometimes you find yourself now in the back of in the mop closet. Your nice office with windows gone. Now suddenly you're trying, no. Do you understand? Sometimes you have to protect the Mercedes that you want to drive, the private school you've paid for. You have to protect this lifestyle that you're trying to create. And that's the difference between individualism and collectivism.
Yes.
You have to believe in the collective good to be an advocate. Because actually, individually, there's nothing that benefits me from being a sacrificial lamb. There's nothing that benefits me. Actually, it benefits me to stay silent in the face of injustice.
A lot of times. And that's something. That's why when I came to, I had to, not amend, but I was very aware that, because my head teacher is not a black person. However, I'm very aware that she is as an ally and advocate and supports the idea of, creates a space where you can challenge. Believe she's going to challenge you back though. Like,
I love that for you.
She will definitely challenge you back, but the space is created for the conversation. And it's very, very, very necessary. So 100%. Okay, so year 4. Okay, all right. So that's when, I think in Jamaican parlance we would say Joy was a bit nuff. Yeah, it was, and that happens. You see those. You see, and I don't know why.
From whose perspective am I nuff?
No, I'm just thinking from a teacher's perspective. Yes. Like that's the image I'm getting where you've got this. You see it. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm a bit of a girl dad, but I don't know. I've got both. But like you see, like really bright black girls who are like really like, I know the answer, and it's just.
They hate that, you know.
Yeah.
They don't really like that, and I think about this often. That if I had been a white working class boy, and I showed such promise, such, tenacity, intellectual aggression. That's what they're going to start calling it. Leadership, skills, capabilities. That's how you're framing it. But because I look like this, I'm just nuff.
Yeah, you're nuff.
I'm chatty.
Yeah. And
I'm distracted.
I see it all the time. I actually had a parents' meeting very recently with a parent, interestingly, about their daughter. And she's at more education. I could see that's what's happening to her. This girl is so one of the brightest, sharpest. Her tongue is sharp.
She's been reading books.
Me and her go head to head, but I love it.
Of course,
I think she's hilarious. However, I can also see in the classroom, teachers, her peers. They're probably tearing her to shreds, and she's probably getting it every single day. Oh gosh, not her again, or so on and so forth. Yeah, so it is a struggle I see, particularly with our girls, and sometimes they have to what's the word, like quieten themselves or dampen themselves down.
They have to.
And
when I speak to girls, sometimes I have to say to them, listen, you don't have that. No. You can't, because obviously with that kind of precociousness, like with that intelligence can come precociousness, and so it's like you think you know it all. The world still hasn't humbled you, so you think, because I know more words than my peers, I'm articulate, because I'm strong in character, I'm a leader. It means I can also be arrogant at times. That's what happens. I was incredibly arrogant as a child because I just thought I knew everything. The world teaches you that you absolutely don't. And so my job sometimes as a black educator, as a woman, is to say to them, listen, you don't get to be unlikable. You don't get that privilege of being unlikable. You don't get to be rude. You don't get to say, I don't like this teacher, so I'm not showing up. They don't want you to do well. Okay?
That's not the game.
The game that you're playing means you keep your head down and you speak up when you have the answer. But this idea that, I don't like that, listen, I'm not going to... No. Because already they've come to me and been like, she's a bit... challenging. They've already done that. There's some students, I hadn't even met them, and they'd say to me, Joy, you really like her. I think to myself, I wonder why.
She's just like you.
And that's the unspoken thing. That's the unspoken part that I too am a black girl.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Do you know, before I go on, this is where we're gonna go. I gotta pull you up. I have to. Yeah.
What?
No. I have to.
Okay.
I have to pull you up.
My sleeves.
I meant to do this at the start. Yeah, I've got to pull you. Me and my SLT. We're hurt. We're really hurt.
Why?
Look how long. Yeah, I'm looking directly into the camera. Look how long it's taken for us to get Joy on the podcast. I'm seeing you on Emmanuel's podcast. Big up Emmanuel, E-Man, Finance. I'm like, finance? I'm seeing you on Yannick's podcast, Too Cool for School. I'm like, hey. I'm like, we do feel like over here at the SLT podcast, like the ugly girl at the dance. I must say, big up Yannick, too cool for school. Big up Eman, I think it's bread and butter.
Yeah.
Yep, and his co-host. Big up those guys. But we do feel like the ugly girl at the dance. I must say, Joy, we're hurt.
Well, I must say, this is the first invitation I've received. Maybe it took for me to get a certain amount of followers for you to think that I was credible to speak, Mr. Moore.
We move. I've got the receipts, by the way, guys. I have the receipts, but I had to say that before. But I love the fact that you're out there and your voice is getting out there, and we love. So we spoke about early on. What about your experiences, kind of going into teaching? So how did you kind of get into teaching?
Sure. So my mother's a head teacher.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
okay.
She's a head teacher at primary school.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandfather was also a teacher.
All right, so you didn't have a choice.
Yeah,
cool.
teachers birth teachers.
Yeah, cool.
But I think there was just after university, I was just toying with the idea about what to do, and my mum just encouraged me, like, just go for it. My uncle encouraged me, my sister I was teaching Sunday school at the time in my local church.
Wonderful.
And it all kind of converged to say, okay, try this thing. So I became a teaching assistant. That was the first thing I did. And then I was like, whoa, I love this space. I love the students. I love teaching. I love learning. This is a great space for me. What was really interesting is when I decided to become a teacher, I loved the school so much that I wanted to stay in the school.
Yeah.
So I tried to get in contact with the person who ran like the kind of teacher training route.
Yeah.
When I tell you he did not email me back, I had to go. I'm a teaching assistant, by the way. You know how the hierarchies work in education. We don't have to talk too much about that, but I'm a teaching assistant trying to talk to a member of SLT about trying to become a teacher, train as a teacher. Can't get an email back. Go up to him.
Well, the head teacher?
Not the head teacher. The SLT member.
Joy being Joy. Yeah.
Joy being enough.
Did you see him in the hallway?
In the playground.
And collar him, yeah?
I said, hello, hi. Hey, sorry to disturb you.
Cool.
But I'd love to. So we have a meeting and he says to me, so you studied psychology. Why do you think that you'd be able to be an English teacher? And he's like, I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I say, bet, no worries. I got something for you. Anyway, go and qualify as an English teacher. Would you believe that 2 years later, we get an Ofsted call at my first school? And who comes into my English classroom? The man who said I wouldn't be an English teacher. As an inspector.
Was he the lead or was he the...
I can't remember.
Okay.
But he, afterwards, Ofsted aren't allowed to speak to the teachers.
Yeah.
Says to me, I'm not meant to tell you this, but that's the most incredible lesson that I've ever watched. I said, thank you. And I was so close to being like, do you remember?
You didn't say it. Oh.
My dad is so angry to this day that I let that one go.
You didn't say.
I think sometimes it's enough for you to know, actually, the very thing you said I couldn't do, here I am doing it. That's enough for me.
That would have been a cherry on the
It
cake
would have been,
to this story. It would have gone viral.
I know.
It would have gone viral. You turn around to him and say, yo, Brett. Sorry, no. Say, excuse me,
yo,
sir.
brethren.
I'm not sure if you remember when you were at such and such and such and such.
You said no. But that happened a lot of the time during my career, just moments where I thought that I should be given an opportunity because, I'm really hungry, I'm hardworking, I try my best. And the response was no. And I had to once again reconfigure my mind and remember what that, 8-year-old, 9-year-old realized that there's something about me that suggests I shouldn't be in certain positions. And I just had to keep trying to fight over, hop over those barriers, break them down. That's all I've been doing. Beautiful.
Okay, so a question I want to ask. Was there a catalyst for your advocacy, or has there always been a history throughout your educational career of kind of pushing or ensuring kind of anti-racism within the work that you do, or was there a shift or a turning point?
I think it's always existed to some degree, because I became when did I qualify? I think around the murder of Trayvon Martin. There was an awakening. That was before. I think it was 2013. I don't want to get that incorrect.
Yeah, I'd put money on it.
Right.
Yeah. With any corrections in the comment, I've got this 2013. Yeah.
So that was the moment that I was like, what do you mean you're in your father's like compound effectively, and somebody thinks it's okay to murder you? Like that was the moment that my mind started to kind of race with what the implications of being black. And I think that's the first time people started saying Black Lives Matter. That's the first time.
Okay.
Right? And so I internalized this message. And at the time I was writing plays. So a lot of my plays spoke to racial injustice. Then I became a teacher. I'm teaching of Mice of Men. I speak about crooks. I speak about why he exists as a disabled black man who is called the N-word repeatedly with no respect given. Yeah. Even from Curly's wife, who understands her power in moments, despite the fact that she has no name. So I'm speaking about these things. I'm speaking about the very things that reflect or resonate with me as a woman and as a person of color, as a black person. But I don't know it's advocacy yet. I don't know it's anti-racism. I haven't heard the word anti-racism before. I don't know what that is. I just know that I've got people in front of me, children, and what we're not going to do is act like injustice was just in the 1930s. Injustice is right now. Okay? So that's happening already. And then in 2020, George Floyd is murdered. Yeah. But this time I have some power. I'm not just a lone English teacher in my classroom making my single lessons with my single class. I'm head of Key Stage 3. And then I'm appointed as head of department, and everything changes because the advocacy that might once have been closeted, for lack of a better word, is the reason why I'm promoted. I'm promoted so that I will decolonize the English curriculum and make sure it's inclusive and represents the students that it serves. That's why I'm appointed. And then it becomes a very public-facing act.
Interesting. So this is one of my challenges as well, and this is what I found in the quote-unquote anti-racism space.
Okay.
Is it DEI space as well? Yeah. You've had organisations in the UK that have been kind of fighting, doing this work for years, since Windrush. You've got so many organisations.
Yeah, so true.
If you don't mind me asking, why is it that, let's say after the Trayvon Martin, did you actively look for texts and books and answers and begin your reading around anti-racism then, or would it have only been 2020 afterwards? Because I noticed as somebody, I was raised in a Pan-Africanist community.
Lovely.
And so a lot of the conversations that were happening post 2020, I was like,
been happening. What is it?
Yeah, man, we were talking about this for I've been talking about this all my life.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was talking about certain things, people were looking at me sideways.
Yeah.
So I've always kind of wondered, why is it
that it starts
that
then?
Before, or even let's say post Trayvon Martin, did you begin to look for organisations? Did you begin to do your own research at that point?
So I think what's really important here is to emphasise the fact that some people are born black and some people become black. My parents didn't tell me I was black. I was Igbo, right? And I was a Christian. Those were the identities.
Those were the identities you were given, yeah.
That's what I was given.
Interesting.
Right? I had to learn through the education system that I was black.
Yeah. And
the implications of that. And so I wholeheartedly believe in what you were given, but you are privileged.
Yes.
It's a privilege to be given your history in the home and told, this is who you are, this is how they'll see you, this is what we can do, this is our activism here. That's not what was happening in my house. Okay. So I remember when I became an English teacher, I remember being a bit confused as to why all the books, I was really bored by the books I was teaching. I was teaching A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I was so confused. Okay, another time. I remember being well, this is really strange. I didn't think this was what I was going to be doing. So I made a pledge to only read authors of African descent from that point on. So that was my reading. I'm really a fiction reader. So that's what I was doing in my own kind of way of resistance. But to answer your question, in terms of my reading, that really started to happen when I felt like my lived experience was no longer enough to hold me up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because I think the way that I think, and when I say my reading, I've been reading my whole, like I read, right? I finished a book yesterday, I read this morning, I read all the time. But really the study of it, that came when I was like, oh, actually, there's more that I want to do. There's more that I want to learn. Because remember, like I said, I was just a black woman in the classroom.
Yeah.
I wasn't an advocate. When I said, oh, advocacy is what I want to do, I was like, okay, I need to read. But the fact that you had this, I think sometimes, especially as a black person, because we have so much, like we're underprivileged in so many different ways and overlooked in so many different ways. We don't realize when we have privilege.
I think where, again, some of my challenge or some of my discomfort does lie is, again, in the what do I say? In the push around this language, and I've had this conversation a lot, like anti-racism and DEI. There are certain organizations. That's why I ask, like, what organizations did you then attach yourself to, or did you look into, or did you research? Because there's certain texts, for example, that understanding like colonialism, understanding the black experience in the 20th and 21st century, growing up like was staple. You with me? So, like Chancellor Williams' destruction of black civilization. If I go into the opinions and philosophies of Marcus Garvey, Ivan van Sertima as they came before Columbus, in regards to understanding like the global perspective of black people around the world and why we're in a situation. Those things were standard. Yeah. Nile Valley civilization comes to mind. I could probably reel them off because they're in the psyche. So to understand the situation that we're in, where we got to the point in, is it 2020 was George Floyd. I'm like, no, obviously. Like, but then once this kind of narrative picked up, I didn't see a lot of people going towards those texts to kind of ground themselves in a foundation of the term that's now anti-racism. Why do you think that is? It almost now there seems to be a kind of new branch that's gone off, and they're saying, all right, this is what we're running with. But I'm like, there are organizations and people who have been fighting this fight who are like, been here for ages. I'm thinking of people like Cecil Gutsmore comes to mind. There are others who are in my mind. I should have done my research first. Like, been in England doing this for like time. But they're not at the forefront of this conversation. Do you think that could be divisive, or why do you think that is? Just from your perspective, because you've given me, I like the idea of learning that you're black, but not going back to the foundation.
I think it's a really interesting, like, I guess, conundrum that we have, right? Where we have people, for example, my dad's a brilliant teacher, fantastic man. But he's not on social media. He doesn't have a TikTok. Maybe he has a TikTok account because he likes information.
He follows you.
I don't know if he follows me, by the way. I don't know if he follows me. But like, whenever I want my dad to, like, I'm always like, Dad, oh, you should do stuff on social media. I know when I say that to him, I'm going to be a social media manager. I'm going to write the captions. I'm going to do the filming. I'm going to I'm going to do every single thing. Yes. The people that you're referencing, they don't think that is the work. Does that make sense? The work of like writing captions and doing hashtags and editing videos.
No, they're dead. Like I'm talking.
No. I'm saying the people that we should.
The advocates.
The advocates. Like, who have been doing. I'm talking about the. You spoke about people who've been doing the work. I'm talking about those people, right? So we're talking like maybe bloomers, Gen X, right?
Yeah.
Who have been about this work, who have done the reading.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, the people that they don't even know these books exist. That's the first thing. I don't know if you know this. They don't. The people, Gen Z, maybe millennials, they don't even know the titles that you've just reeled off.
Yeah.
Okay. Just to make sure we have a shared understanding of where we're at in terms of
getting there.
Racial illiteracy.
I'm getting
there. We are
there.
racially illiterate as black people in this country.
I'm getting there.
The moment we realise how much we don't know, and that's of course intentional. Look where we spend our time in schools. What are they teaching us? And I was speaking to somebody online about like the supplementary schools and how there's been such a massive decline in that. Before it was just, I went to a Saturday school. It's so normal to just go to Saturday school on the weekend. I can see you moving. Let me go back.
Remember, that's my bag still, but continue. Yeah.
And so I think that my point about like why is it that there's this new branch forming, it's because people like myself who already really like social media understand the mechanisms of how to kind of market what people might find boring, actually. So I speak about education online, right? But what I don't speak about is how to mark an English paper
Yeah.
1 question.
Yeah.
Now that's all well and good, but it's quite niche. And a lot of people, and maybe people that look like us at times, don't necessarily value that as something to be interesting or interested in. However, what I try and do, I put out a recent video called Casual Racism in the Classroom.
Yeah.
It exploded.
Yeah.
Because actually, it's not me going, hi everybody, my name's Joy. I really want to speak about the fact that, like, when I was younger, people just pronounce names.
No, you've got the...
But I know what to do. I know how.
But,
and so I'm bringing these schools of thoughts that are underpinning my vantage point, right? They're underpinning me. They're holding me up. But I don't necessarily say them explicitly.
Okay, so I'm thinking, have you read How the West Indian Child Was Made to Be Educationally Subnormal?
Have I read it?
Yeah.
No.
Right. So for me, as a black educator, and I'm trying, because I hear what you're saying. You're saying we're in a social media generation that, like, you've got it. Like I love from a content creator's perspective. Yeah. Like, you make it. People don't understand. Yeah. A lot of people think, oh, social media, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Yo, camera, caption, bang, articulate, gets the points, gets the hooks. Like, your stuff is on point.
Thank you.
Yeah, as somebody who spends hours with their son with the camera trying to do it, like, it's long. But I think about the dangers if we're speaking about anti-racism and education. For me, that is like a seminal foundation text that, as a black educator who's choosing to go into that space, would need to kind of read in the same way that, like, as if you're an English teacher, there's the canon, and if you've not read the canon, then can you really be an English teacher? Coming with a Govian, like, like, there must be Dickens, there must be Shakespeare. Is it? Trying to think of the question. Is it dangerous? Is it dangerous that we're kind of reducing that information without the foundation into a social media generation? Because therefore we're kind of like losing the...
I hear what you're saying.
Would you agree?
So I watched Small Axe. Did you watch Small Axe?
I think I watched 2 or 3 of them.
I watched the episode about the Caribbean.
ESN schools. Yes, right. Yeah, 100%, yeah.
Not only did I watch it, I made all the kids across in the English department watch it too. Mm-hmm. I haven't read the book.
Yes.
But I know that it's happened.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we create this hierarchy of knowledge.
Okay.
If you haven't read this book, then you can't be X. You can't be Y. How dare you stand in front of me if you haven't got these letters before your name? It happens all the time. Mm-hmm. And I think it's... this is the moment where I'm like, when you said that right at the top of the podcast, like, you're brave to say certain things. This is the moment where I'm not going to be so brave and I'm just going to reel it back.
No, that's why we got it. Joy, that's why we got you here. No, I feel we're not getting our money's worth. Not that we paid you to come on. No, this is what we want.
I think it's the way that we champion some knowledge above others, other people's knowledge, and we champion some people above others because we say, unless you've done these things, then you are not qualified. When I was the head of English, when people were like, oh, we're going to have a Shakespeare text each year. No, we're not.
Yeah.
No, we are not. Because Shakespeare, Macbeth, loved Macbeth, Othello sometimes, Romeo and Juliet, how many times? I think it's a good story.
It's a great story.
Some people revere Shakespeare. I do not revere Shakespeare. I respect his work, but I don't believe he needs to be on the curriculum every single year. If I haven't read certain texts, that doesn't make me less of an English teacher. If I haven't read a single Shakespeare text, it also doesn't make me less of an English teacher. I honestly believe this because why have we said that this is the standard and this is what everybody must do this? And who does it disqualify? If I have read and I have lived and I have taught and I've never read a Shakespeare text, does that mean I shouldn't be an English teacher? That is a rhetorical question. I'm about to land.
Okay, all right.
I'm getting loaded up.
See, this is how you trigger people online. This is how you get the comments. All right, go on.
You get, and so yes, I completely take your point. There are some books that should be read.
Yeah,
can be read. I should say can be read, but I think it's also about allowing people to do other types of learning in that area. So in terms of articles, in terms of podcasts. Do you know what I mean?
I agree 1,000%. But what triggered? Well, you're triggering me. That she's triggering me Rena should be
I
here
feel like
to
you're
calm me
really
down.
well behaved, you
No.
know. I feel like if we
is-
weren't filming now, I don't know if these cameras would smash the cameras.
No. I think because I'm thinking about, you know, at university you had core text that you had to read.
Yes.
Yeah. Because in order to gain an understanding, social historical context, so on and so forth, you have to read a core text.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, you have your own interest that you can kind of go into. So I can pick, all right, 101 this and 307 that and the course numbers. But there's a core text. And I would say, especially in English, and we're both English teachers, that's our foundation, there have, and I know my brother's going to watch this, yeah? So I have to say this. Otherwise, he's going to be the one to beat me up, yeah? In order to have an understanding of the English curriculum, social, historically, and politically, which if you don't have an understanding, especially as a black child going into the world, and you can't refer to these texts, and you're at a disadvantage. You are at a huge disadvantage. And in coming back to the anti-racism space, if there are certain core foundation texts, I'm not saying you have to have read everything, because there are some really niche texts. Like a friend of mine asked me for a text last year for her master's, and she couldn't find it anywhere. But luckily, because I've got some connections with some black book publishers, I was able to find it.
So good.
Yeah. But I do think it in the same way for English, if there isn't kind of a core. As a teacher, I think as a student, all right, you don't necessarily have to read a Dickens, but I think as a teacher, you should have read certain 19th century texts, certain core ones, certain Shakespeare, certain playwrights, certain things, and then you can kind of branch off into your own.
I don't agree. I'm so sorry. Shakespeare won't save these black children. Knowledge of Shakespeare will not save them. Knowing that Romeo and Juliet die at the end is not going to save them. And I had to teach my department this at the time. They kept trying to tell me that we needed to put Shakespeare in. Why? Why do these children need to, what do they need to know to survive this world? Let me tell you, it's not Shakespeare.
What is it?
It's knowledge that your parents gave you by living in the home that you lived in. That's what's going to save them.
So,
knowledge of the implications of identity markers that they did not choose. That is what will save them. Not knowledge of who kills who in this particular text. No. That's not going to be it. And as black people, we have to understand and unlearn the idea that having this knowledge is going to lead to success. It's going to lead to our liberation, our freedom. It doesn't economic advantage. That's not necessarily the case. Because guess what I had to learn when I was sick in hospital? It didn't matter what titles I held. I was still a black girl. A black girl who knew Shakespeare, who studied Shakespeare. I was still a black girl and I was treated like a black girl.
But doesn't that then reinforce the point that I'm saying, that if as black anti-racist educators, if we have a body of text that have been put to give us the information that we need to help us move forward, if we're not engaging with that core foundation and body of text that's been put there, then we're doing ourselves a disservice, because that's actually, those core texts are actually that knowledge. Whereas I can hear what you're saying and to some extent agree with you, yet Shakespeare ain't gonna save certain, like it's not what they need to move forward and progress. As educators, would you not therefore then say it's important, if there's a body of work there around racism and where we are in this space, that it's incumbent for our educators who are speaking, who are vocal, who are advocates, to have read these texts?
So I do agree with you. Right, I do 100% agree. I was just I think the way that you framed the question before wasn't quite like this. You know, the way that you framed
it's because you bullied me into reframing it. That's why.
I agree, but I think one thing that you have to recognize is when people are saying that Shakespeare is the most important. You know how you said, "Oh, we need these texts to understand what we're doing."
Yeah.
It's in the same way they need these texts that we don't understand what we're doing. And I think as long as we can agree here on that point. Yeah. Yes, we should have a reading list, but also the way that learning works is that we need to make sure that it's evolving and it's accessible.
Yeah.
And
so
if I have to have be friends with a black publisher to get hold of a text, I need it to be on Amazon. You know, I need people like yourself, like myself, to come together and be like, okay, so what text do we think people should read? And we publicize that. Yeah. What we can't do is condemn people for not having that knowledge and being like, oh, how can you be doing X if you never read Y?
Yeah.
I think that's wrong.
I agree.
And that happens so often. And I think that is what I'm attacking.
Yes,
this kind of hierarchy of knowledge, hierarchy of information. And sometimes this stuff is just simply inaccessible.
Yeah, no, I agree. Because there are certain kind of organisations that you're right. The snobbery.
It's like, you, and I felt that all the time. Remember, I studied psychology. I'm not an English. I was trying to get into the classroom.
Sorry. Do you know? I am so sorry. I forget you're not an English snob.
It's the chip on my shoulder. It's the chip. It's weighing me down.
Could you see me here? Shakespeare? How dare you? I did a whole unit at university on Shakespeare. I think I've read at least 70% of his works.
I think,
dare you? Yeah. I'm like, she's a psychology major.
I was like, of course. And that's what you put. I shouldn't have said that. And that's what you put it down to. Now I'm validated my whole perspective. Darn. But I do think that, like, even that, I think if you think about the texts that were revered, I'm absolutely positive people didn't look like you. And I don't know, you have to understand what that does to your psyche in that space of what is for me, where do I belong, what is power, what is important. I think it's all deliberate, and I think we must resist where we can.
Okay, so thank you. I'm just gonna because I'm now looking back at my notes because me and Joy have gone off.
We've gone off.
But I'm gonna have to bring it back.
Go
on. So let's say, for example, you were speaking directly to educators. You spoke about that you were put in a position to decolonize the curriculum.
Sure.
And a front-facing role. So you now have a head of English.
Yeah.
Who is listening to what you're saying and thinking, what do I do? How do I do it? I've heard of this decolonizing thing. What were some of maybe the key steps that you took that you knew you needed to do? You've kind of alluded to some of them already, yeah? Challenging certain things, but what would you say to them?
You've got to pay me for that. You've got to DM me for that. You're trying to, if you want to know, you know where to find me. But in all seriousness, I think...
No, not serious. No. Don't detract. For a serious breakdown. If you could give us some tidbits, please.
I can give you a couple.
You're 100% right.
As a friend to friend, and these are your friends. So I don't mind giving you our friends. Our friends, you know.
Yeah.
I would say definitely the internal work is essential. Mm-hmm. And internal work can look like two black people right now discussing whether Shakespeare is paramount to saving the life of a black child. That's the kind of work you will have to do as a black educator, like deconstructing your own beliefs around power and authority and education and success, because you'll be surprised what you find there. As a white educator, I finished a book yesterday about class, and I was like, I think this is how white people must feel when they encounter racism. I felt this sense of guilt. I didn't choose the family I was born into. I didn't choose to have the father I had, the mother I had, and have all this access to money. And I felt really guilty. But I didn't dismiss it. I didn't derail conversations. I didn't minimize it. I just sat with it. And I said, okay, what do I do next? How can I use the privilege that I do have to help the people that may need it? And I think that's for white educators, head of departments, to think about. You do have privilege, you do have power, but you can also be an ally.
You think it's something that should be, because we had Kemi Olayinka with her book recently around kind of the voice of black educators. Do you think that's something that should be kind of input is every year as an inset?
What do you mean?
Kind of an inset around challenging ideas and thoughts for schools.
Of course, but ironically, teachers don't want to learn. Isn't that so funny?
I've seen it. Do you know something?
Isn't that so funny? Teachers do not want to learn.
Yeah.
They don't want to do your inset day. They don't want to find new ways of being and new ways of knowing. They don't want that. So it's just falling on deaf ears.
Yeah.
So yes, of course, we should have days, training events, workshops where we sit down and we deconstruct the things that we thought we knew, and what did you think you knew last year that you no longer know this year, or you've changed your perspective. We should have that as educators, but that would require teachers who are committed to evolving. But I don't blame them. There is so much happening in the system that leads to that. I watched a TV show the other day, and this boy, he was 19. He was like, it was a woman. She just graduated. So she maybe 21, 22. And she was like, I just want to be here and help these students learn and love English. And the teachers there just laughed at her. They just laughed at her. And obviously it's a sitcom. Yeah. But I was once that person. And thankfully I never became that really kind of sarcastic, disillusioned teacher. But there's a way the system breaks you. That means when they call that inset day, you're just thinking, why the heck have you? I've got things. You have taken all of my time. Yeah. You want me to do my classroom, do my seating plans, understand, go to all these training, be a tutor, do all of this, and you want to now reinvent the wheel in front of me.
Get out of
Get out of
here.
here.
Get out of here.
Get outta here.
Yeah. No, I hear it. And I respect you for acknowledging that, because sometimes, you're racist, you're not sitting down. No, listen, the system has worn me down. Do you know what I mean? It's September. I know what the year ahead looks at me. I know this is going to be the longest
It's going
term.
to break me till Christmas.
But we have to acknowledge that the work does need to be done, unfortunately. It does need to be done.
Absolutely.
So, no, I love the way you answered that question. I'm going to wrap up because, as I said,
we'll finish.
this plan,
we're done.
As it's gone, we're gonna do our question and answers. Don't worry. But I just want to say, what are the next steps for you? So, as I said, you've got this amazing online presence. Kind of, what are the next steps for you in regards to being an authentic Black educator in leadership? What are the next steps? Yeah, man, powerful question. That's why she didn't run to this podcast. She was on the other podcast because she knew this is where the heavy questions
the heavy lifting was going to happen. What are the next steps? I wish I knew the answer to that question at this point. What I know is that I am committed to being consistent and being faithful to what I believe I'm being called to right now, which is to teach. Yeah. And for a long time, teaching has meant teaching children. But in this space, I teach everyone. And I am committed to teaching the people that have been called to. I'm not for everyone. There are people who are going to watch this podcast and want to follow you because they can't. There may be them. I'm not. I now understand. I'm like Marmite. I do understand that.
Yeah.
I used to resent that about myself. I wanted to be palatable. I wanted to be likable, but you can't be likable and have this many opinions.
100%.
You just can't be. And so it's like the people that are meant to find me. I'm here and I'm waiting for you and I'm waiting to teach you and I'm waiting to learn from you as well. I don't know what this will look like in the next year or next 2 years. I didn't imagine it would look like this, sitting on a podcast here last year. Last year, all I was doing was just press and record. And I counted this morning, this is my 5th podcast of the year appearance. Yeah. It's like I'm on a run and I don't know where.
You've really dropped yourself in it. This is her 5th. Wait. Before you go into your this is her 5th. We're the 5th. We're the 5th. The 5th. Continue.
Not too much on the 5th. I was making a point. Forget I said that. This is my appearance, another podcast. But that's not what I thought it was going to be. What I thought it was going to be was an opportunity to just share my lessons that I was learning. And so I'm just going to keep showing up. And hopefully the next year you'll invite me back. Before then, we'll do part 2. We'll do part 2. See what the response is. Invite me back.
No, it doesn't matter what the response is because
we need to come back and do another one.
We respect the work that you do. Yeah. We respect what you're trying to achieve.
And I miss your co-host. Your co-hosts are like, you guys are I don't really make friends at work personally. Yes. You guys are my friends.
Yes.
You are my friends, and so I can't wait to come.
Fifth in line friends.
I just called my colleagues my friends. I've never done that in my life. So you guys are my friends, and so it is a great honor to sit here with you, knowing where we've come from, knowing where you see me start from. Yeah. Like you probably remember when I came into the building, you're probably thinking, all this talk about a special gifted one, this person doesn't even speak, barely spoke.
No, as you say, it was head down. Yeah.
Keep my head down, work 100%. Hard, that's all I've done. And now I'm speaking, and so I'm looking forward to coming back.
Wonderful. We've got some plans. We have some plans for you, don't you? Yeah, don't you worry. We have some plans afoot with the SLT podcast and stuff that we want to do, and you're part of that. We'll let you know. So don't you worry. So Joy, we're gonna wrap the. See, this is mad because we could really.
This could be the whole day.
We could go on because we were going back and forth even before the podcast. Yeah,
we've been speaking since I don't know what time it is, but we've been speaking for a long time.
So I really appreciate you taking the time out to come onto this episode, and as you know, you are friends of the podcast, so we'll definitely have you back on, and we'll definitely be tracking your journey and anything we can do to support. Please, if people do want to contact you in regards to working with you and hearing you and maybe inviting you in, what's the best way to contact you?
So hello@missjoymbakwe.com is my email address, but at Miss Joy Mbakwe on TikTok and on Instagram, I regularly check my DMs and I respond to them.
All right, no problem. Okay, this is me alone for the SLT podcast. We're wrapping this up. Please like, comment, share, all of this good stuff. Thank you very much for coming on to the SLT podcast, Joy. It's been well overdue.